So yeah, feel free to chat. If there's anything specific anybody wants to get out of today, I know a few of you have already emailed me with some things that you were keen to see. So some of them were already on the list, but one of them has been added. So thank you for letting me know in advance. And yeah, if it's, tell me how you want to use it. Tell me what you want to know. This is going to be quite a high level introduction to it because I didn't want to go too heavy. And then if you guys are keen to, I will do another session where we can go into a little bit more detail on some of the certain aspects of it, because it's an accounting software. It's pretty vast what it can do. I believe it originated in New Zealand, and it's still actually quite young and quite new in the market. They've put an awful lot of cash behind it to develop it. And it was really one of the first ones out of, Sage and QuickBooks and things to become a lot more up to date and a bit more app available and based, and the others are kind of playing catch up. The issue with Xero is that it does have some limitations, and they're trying to overcome a lot of those. I've never really been impacted by them, or if I have, it hasn't really done anything that I couldn't fix, let's say. But it means that for certainly bigger businesses, you may need to look at systems like, for example, Sage, which are far more capable of dealing with the amount of transactions and the amount of invoices and things that your company will do. Where you would possibly have an entire dedicated accounts team. Unlike me, so I use it for my own business, so the Office Management Group, as we're now known. For anyone that's not aware, we've renamed Black and White Office Consultancy to the Office Management Group in the last couple of weeks, making it much easier for me to manage all the branding. The OMG is in here, and I have used Xero in my business for about 4 years now. And then for my role as operations manager in Mayfair, I use it for them as well. And what they were doing when I started with them about 3 years or so ago was they were doing a lot of things on spreadsheets and then pushing it into Xero just to kind of keep Xero ticking over. Whereas what I discovered, because I kind of self-taught with this, and I had a couple of sessions with, this was in the early days of Xero, some Xero experts, that actually there was an awful lot that we were doing outside of the system that we should have and could have and should have been doing in the system, because it had the capability to do that. So we stopped using all these external spreadsheets and put everything straight into Xero. So it saved so much time. And actually, they were paying a fee monthly for this platform, or annually for this platform, and a fairly high fee because they're a small company, but they have a lot going on. And they weren't using it. So anybody that's in that position, hopefully that's what we can give you from today as well, that you can use this system more encompassing, to be more encompassing, and stop using so many spreadsheets to do the things that you might be doing. So we will make a start. Someone would like to know about the integrations with other apps, which might be useful for small businesses. Yeah, of course. No problem. We can have a look at that at the end. So just a couple of quick slides here. What is Xero? It's an easy to use accounting software. That's how I would sum it up. There's the option to have invoice input, where you can invoice out to clients or contacts, as they're called in here. You can add billing for invoices and bills received, so things that you or your business need to pay. There's expenses option, so you can put expenses through here, and depending on the access that you give to your staff, other staff can submit expenses through here. There's bank reconciliation, so reconciling means that you have a spend or a receivable on your account. So let's say, for example, for the Office Management Group, we get membership fees in annually, monthly, etc., that come in, and we have to reconcile those with our bank to show that they've come in, and we can confirm and we can reconcile that they have been received. So those payments are made. Likewise, if we have a payment going out to a client and we owe a client, let's say Posturite, because I often buy equipment for my office from Posturite, I get that invoice in, and then when I've paid them, it should marry up on the bank that that bill has been cleared and paid, and therefore I don't owe anything to anyone, hopefully. So that's what the reconciliation does. Financial reporting, so I'm not going to go too much into that area today. I am not, just going to caveat all of this with, I am not an accountant. I'm not qualified. I have my own accountant who takes care of most of my HMRC related requirements for me, because it goes above and beyond A, what I want to be doing, and B, what I have the knowledge to be doing. So I am coming at you or to you with this from a perspective of somebody that uses it day to day to keep things going for my own business and, like I say, for my Mayfair job. And then client quotes and business pipeline, I find it really useful, particularly for my consultancy business, when I can, I would do it for my own companies when I used to work permanently full-time in places where I would have a bit of a pipeline as to what was going on. And I'm not just talking about in terms of finances, I'm talking about in terms of headcount coming in and going out the door, so I could manage space effectively. And anyone that's previously been on our office move or managing joiners and leavers calls and being proactive, you'll hear me talking about that quite a lot. And particularly when it came to running a business, there was this need for me to start managing my pipeline ahead of time. So I now use Xero, and I input what business has been agreed. Let's say if I quote somebody and they then come to me and say, yes, please go ahead and do, I don't know, a health and safety audit, or come in and train our office manager, or whatever it might be. If it's agreed work, I then put it in my pipeline so I can see what business I've got coming at whatever future date it might be. So it helps me manage my pipeline and my cash flow essentially. And then I can do client quotes in here as well. And you can have various accounts attached to it, so more than one bank or credit card. And as someone's asked as well, there's apps that you can connect in here too. And I say, in my opinion, it's best for SMEs rather than the large, big companies and corporates, because it kind of has a limitation on, it doesn't have a limit as such on the number of transactions you can put through it, but you may want something that's a little bit more automated than this can perhaps offer, and it's a bit more sophisticated in some of those ways when you're dealing with that sort of volume of transactions. So what else can the system do? It can, if it lets me, customize invoices. You can add your logo, payment details, links, etc. onto here. You can use the payroll features, which can save time and can keep it in-house. If you do that in-house, or you're thinking about bringing it in-house, you could use Xero to help you manage that. Run easy audits and searches to check that everything's up to date. And manage money due and owed from the dashboard. So I'll show you all of those bits. What we're going to cover today is adding invoices. So client invoices that are billable to your business. Adding bills and spend money. So this is where you owe another business or company or client money, and using the files function from within there. Adding an expense claim for you or others. Managing contacts, so suppliers, providers and clients. And reconciling, creating bank rules for easy reconciliations. There's a few ways to help there. And then importing bank feeds, setting up live bank feeds and importing statements and setting up and then reconciling from there. Okay, so I'm going to shoot to the Xero screen. So this is a, bear with me a sec. Pressed escape too many times, so it's taken us away. Right, you should now see, hopefully. Can someone just chat and let me know that you're seeing the Xero screen, because it's not got the usual highlight around it, so I want to make sure that you are seeing the correct screen before I carry on. Excellent. Okay, so this is a demo company, so I'm logged in into my own account, and this is my company here, and I can add a few organizations. So let's say, for example, I did run two businesses because I owned the Office Management Portal Limited and Black and White Office Consultancy Limited. So I've removed Black and White Office Consultancy and just moved the portal into the group. All rather confusing, but basically I did have two organisations here and I've reduced it down to one. But you can have as many as you want, or as the system allows you to. I'm just going to close my email so we don't get any noise disturbance from them. Yeah, so this is a demo company, and everybody, when you log into Xero, even if you do the free version, has got access to this demo company, which will come up here. I'm obviously in it at the moment, so the option's not there to go to it, but you'll see that in that option there. When you log in, you'll see your dashboard, which is set up just like it is on the screen in front of us. And you can amend your dashboard if you want to really easily and move things around. But basically, by clicking on the 3 dots on most of these areas, you will start to be able to do the functions and things that you'll want to. But this is essentially a summary of your accounts and what's going on. So here, this company has got 2 accounts set up in here: their main business bank account, which is often known as your current account, and then a savings account. And there's nothing really going on in the savings account. We can't see any history there. And then this is the current account, where you can see, if you click on here or just follow it with the mouse, the sort of cash flow. Trust me, when your business isn't doing well, you know about it, because Xero puts it in red, which is lovely to see. In your first few months of business, it's just red all the way through, and you're like palpitating because you've got red on your screen. It's lovely when you see it blue and all floaty and lovely. But yeah, so it's quite intelligent in that sense that it helps you see it from a glance, which essentially is what this dashboard is about. You can have an account watch list here. So these are areas where you spend money, and they have selected these 4 accounts here. So there's account codes that you can use, and they are saying, okay, these are the areas that we want to keep an eye on in terms of spend money. So they spend nearly 9 grand a year on advertising and marketing, entertainment, inventory, whatever that might be, and sales. So their sales obviously would and should hopefully be incoming money. So you can watch certain account codes there if you want to. And then invoices owed to you. So this is where you would invoice your clients, for example. I don't know if we've got any virtual assistants on. I think we have got a few of you that might be looking at using this for your own business. So this is where you would have your clients sitting there. And this is the area that I personally use in my business for the pipeline. So I add draft invoices that are the agreed ones. One, because it saves me time, and then when I come to invoice the client, I've kind of already done the job and I can just change the dates accordingly. But 2, that then gives me quite a nice picture of my pipeline. So I'd see my pipeline here of agreed business, what I've actually invoiced, and then sadly, we all get it, the overdue invoices in red as well. At one point, I had £10,000 of overdue invoices sitting in there. And it bugged me so much that many people are late paying a small business money, but it happens. It was pre-COVID. And then bills you need to pay. So these are the areas where your business owes other people money. So let's say, for example, the office management group invoiced your business. You would get a bill from us, and it would sit in there awaiting payment until you paid. And likewise, with invoices that are owed to your business and overdue, you would set a date when you add the bill, and we'll look at all of this, and it will tell you when those are overdue as well, so you're late paying bills. So it starts to build quite a nice picture on how your cash flow is going, how good you are at paying on time, and yeah, what you owe there. And then expense claims at the bottom here, so you can see they've got a draft in for no money to be claimed, and then if you have things to review or to pay, they'll sit in there as well as money owed. It will depend on the settings and the account, basically, in terms of what you're paying Xero, the access that you have to this. So you might have it where you've given expense access to lots and lots of staff, or you might have it where there's just a few staff and no one can actually raise expense claims themselves, and you have to do it for them. And there's a couple of ways we can do that. So we'll go into looking at adding an invoice in first and foremost. So there's a couple of ways we can do it. The first one is on the dashboard here, clicking new sales invoice, and to be honest, that's the one I find most useful. You could go and find your contact directly, so you can either run a search there. It's not going to let me do it, which is really helpful when in a demo account, but let's say, for example, it is the office management group. There would just be a very small search bar here that would say you type in it, and then you search the office or whatever you start typing, and it will start to show the results live. And then you would click on the office management group, and when we find it, it will let us invoice them from there. So let's see what contacts we've got. So we've got 46 contacts. So a contact is either a client or a supplier. So it's anybody that you have exchanged monies with that has appeared somewhere in your system. So you can see in here what you might owe them or what they might owe you. So these are obviously you know, suppliers of some sort, and then these are probably your clients. And I have to apologize for anybody that can hear background noise. It seems like my neighbors whose garage is attached to our house and this very wall that we're on have started conveniently drilling into the wall. So apologies if you can hear any background noise. Hopefully it won't last too long. Okay, so these are all the contacts. So I can click on any of them at any time, and I can edit their name, I can add their address, etc., etc. Or like I say, we can go and add in a new sales invoice here. So it'll come up automatically with their name. If it didn't, then I can find them from here. So you'll see it starts as I start typing, it starts to find them live. Or let's say, for example, we want to add the office management group. It won't find us. And if I just click here, it's added it as a new contact. And you can see now it's gone blue because that suggests it's linked it and it's now a new contact. And then I can set the date. So let's say, for example, I'm invoicing from tomorrow. I might not want to send this out just yet. I might need to get it approved by someone else who will click the send button, or I might be the one sending it directly. And then the due date. So you might have a default due date. So you might have set in the system somewhere to say that your payment terms for clients are always 14 days or 30 days, whatever it might be. So you can do that. Or like most people, you can set it manually. So let's say it's 14 days, so it takes us to the 20th of November. It will automatically assign an invoice number, which just goes numerically from 0001, which would be your first invoice. And again, you can set your invoice numbering styles within the system, within the settings side. So you might not even want it to be INV. You might want it to be OMG 00001 or whatever. So you can set that on what you want it to start at, and you can amend that any time as well if you suddenly decide to change your invoice reference numbers. But you can see this is the 43rd invoice. You can then put a reference. So for example, if your client's given you a purchase order number, that's probably the number I would put in here, so that they can reference it back to an approved purchase order. And then there's branding. So they've got very orange invoice as a brand in here. We'll use that maybe and see what that looks like. Imagine it's their Xero branding. But they, yeah, you can set different templates in here to have your different invoices set. So mine is always on a standard because I just have one format set for my invoices, but we'll use the orange one. And we can already preview it here if we want to. So we haven't got any line items in there yet. It doesn't look very orange to me at the moment, but we'll see when it's finished. And then I can start to add my details. So I can change currency here. And again, you can manage your currencies that you might trade in or invoice in or receive bills in the settings. So I can add US dollars or euros in here. And I can say whether it's tax inclusive or exclusive, or perhaps if there's no tax. And again, by default, I can tell the system to always include tax. So whenever I'm adding invoices or adding bills that are owed to other people, it will always pick up the fact that it's the grand total including tax, or I can say it's excluding tax, and then it will add it on top. So we're going to do a health and safety audit. Let's stick to what we know and what we normally invoice for. And we're going to say it was £350. So I've done one audit, £350. If I'm feeling generous, I might give a discount of 20%, and I would accrue it to the sales accounting code. I can set as many account codes as I want in here. So again, to give you an example of my actual business, I have sales for my consultancy clients, and they'll go down as sales. And then I have other revenue for other odd bits and pieces, like sometimes my clients, I don't know, might ask me to buy a chair for them or something like that. So that will go down as other revenue because I'm not a chair seller, but they've asked me to sort it out for them. And then I've got a code specifically for our member fees. So I know the code off by heart, it's 155. And that's so that I can constantly see how the consultancy side of my business is doing versus the portal side of my business and the membership side. So I always make sure that when, for example, we're arranging events and so on and so forth, that we're never going basically to put my business at risk by spending more than what we actually earn from the business. So I can add as many codes as I like in there, and often you can just type, so they haven't got 155, let's find something, I don't know. These different codes are actually what, you know, you might use, like I say, for VAT would be when your company's paying back to the HMRC, so you would use that. But yeah, you might use different codes in there. But there's a load of standard ones set. It will tell you what your default tax rate is because we're in the UK. As a registered business, it's 20%. If that changes, Xero will update the system for you from the date that that changes in the UK, from whenever the government announce it. Or it could be exempt or no VAT and various things like that. There are rules on what is VAT rateable. When you're doing expense claims and things like that, and we can talk a little bit about that if we get time. Region I've never used, in all honesty. I don't know enough about it. I think it's more to do with the New Zealand area, but you may want to start looking at what that means. I have no idea. You can easily remove lines from here. I don't know, let's say we did a risk assessment for them as well, so I can add another one in. Let's maybe do 2. So we did 2 risk assessments for £250. We also gave a 20% discount because we like them. And you can see here the subtotal excluding VAT is £680. There's a £170 discount in there in total, and then the VAT's 136. So the total is 816. I can save it here if I want to add new lines because I've run out. I can add them in here one by one, or I can add a group at a time. I can save it, and then that would go into my saved draft invoices, if you like, which aren't approved. So that would sit in my pipeline. So when I come back to my dashboard, we should see that here we go, invoices increased. There were 2 in there before, but now there's 3. So my pipeline's grown a bit, and now I'm ready to invoice them because it's the 6th of November. I can come in and approve that invoice. Anything that's in blue, generally, you know, like a typical hyperlink, is clickable. So you can see these bits up here, they're all clickable. So I'm going to approve it, and then I'm going to email it, and then I can put someone's email in there. If I had set up this contact correctly from the start, I would have put their email address in at that point. And I would have put their contact name in here. I can add multiple email addresses if I want to within the contact section. And I can amend this email text as well. So what I often do with my clients, instead of it just saying here's invoices, say thanks so much for, you know, asking us to do your risk assessment. Here's invoice, blah, blah, blah. So there's a little bit of context to it. Generally, if it's just going to one of my bigger clients' accounts companies, I don't put the blurb in there because they won't notice it or care. But if it's going to, say, for example, an office manager or the CEO sometimes that we deal directly with, and they say send the invoices to us, there's a couple of my clients that do that, then I put a little bit of context in there instead of it just being a bit too faceless. So I can then send it. I can include files as attachments, include the PDF attachment to the invoice, because at the moment it will just be a link, and I can even be CC'd on the email and get a copy of it. So I can click send, and off that will go. And then this will have a sent button here. I'm going to see if we can see. No, it's still not very orange, is it? It's not going to let us see it. If print PDF, let's mark it as sent, shall we? See if it lets us see. I'm so intrigued to see if it is actually very orange. It is very orange. There we go. They're right. So that's what they've set their template to look like. I mean, if your company is called Orange, then it's the perfect invoice template, I guess. So that's how you do it. And then you can set up different links here as to how they can pay. So we've got PayPal and Stripe set up, and go cardless, so people can set up different apps there. Okay, does that all make sense so far, everybody, in terms of invoicing? Hopefully you're still with me. Super. Okay, so we're going to go back to the dashboard now. And you can add more invoices from there. You probably saw that add another invoice option. And now that's gone into our awaiting payment section. If they don't pay by the 20th, it's going to go overdue and so on and so forth. Okie doke. So now we're going to add a bill. So let's say, for example, somebody has sent us an invoice and I don't know, let's say it was for a coffee machine that we've bought. We need to obviously add that to our bills and then make sure it's paid, and then when it's paid we'll reconcile it. If you come into files here, hopefully they've got no files. I will see if this works, but basically this is the golden bit that you want. This email address, which I'm going to copy and just on my other screen open up my emails and send an invoice and see if we can get it in there. This is the individual mailbox for your own Xero account. So if you've got a few different accounts within Xero, within your login, say like, you know, I had different companies, you'll have a unique email address for each one. So you want to make sure that you're using the right ones to send the files to each time. So I'm just bear with me a second whilst I get a file of some sort. Let's see. We want an invoice. And right, okay, let's use Mailgun. So I've sent over an invoice. I'm going to save another email. So what you can send to this only is attachments from emails. So let's say, for example, you get a PDF or a Word doc attachment come in with an invoice on it. You can send that to this system and it should pick it up in here. I'm just going to refresh and see what we've got, if they've come through. Yay, there we go. If there's an email, however, say, for example, like this one, this is a Xero receipt, which is my billing for this system. I've saved it to my desktop and I'm going to import that because I don't get an invoice unless I go into the system and pull it out. So I use this as my payment proof. So you can't email emails to this system and they'll sit in there. You have to add emails as an attachment separately. By emailing anything, it will only pick up on attachments in that email, excuse me, and not the email itself, if that makes sense. So from here, I've got my invoice in here, so I can do add to a sales invoice, spend money, receive money, or a bill. Now with spend money, I would only do that for something that's already occurred. So let's say, for example, this bill had already been paid. I could add it as a spend money for that. But if it's something that's not yet paid and technically known as a bill, it's something that is due, I would add it as a bill. And that will then manage my pipeline showing what we owe as a company. So this is a real invoice that we get. To give you the background on this, because it might be interesting, it might not interest you at all. But for every time someone raises a new forum topic, we use a system called Mailgun, and that's the same for a few other notifications in the portal. And it shoots out those messages to your email addresses that say there's a new forum topic, which is this. Click in and log into the portal to see it. And this is what we pay each month-ish for the amount of notifications that go out. And it's fascinating for me because when we first started the portal, these invoices were 0000 for such a long time because we hadn't hit this limit of, I think it's like 10,000 emails or something a month. I can't remember what it is, but anyway. And then we went over it, and I was like, oh my god, we've got so many members. We're now paying for it, which is quite fun. So there we go. Probably don't care, but bit of background. So I'm going to add it to Mailgun. So this is the supplier or the service provider now, and the date. So they issued it on the 1st of November. They're saying it's due on the 1st of November, so we'll go with that. They take it by direct debit anyway, so I never have to pay it manually. I can copy anything like you hopefully just saw me grab and highlight this. So I press Control-C on my keyboard to copy and Control-V to paste. And I've put the reference number in there. And the reason I do that is because particularly if there's a few people working on this system, there's a few people in accounts, or you're just manic like we office managers are, and you're adding lots and lots of bills, sometimes you might by accident add the same one, or they might send a reminder because it's overdue and then you might add it again. If you add the reference number in and that's already there as an invoice to that supplier, it will do a little message up here saying that invoice with that reference number already exists. Are you sure you want to add another one? So it's quite intuitive and supportive in that way. So let's just put portal fees, and then it's 1 and it's 24. We're just going to go with pounds for the moment. It's including that, and we're just going to call it, hopefully they've got it, general expenses. And then it works it out, so it would know that it's £4 too. It's so helpful in VAT, and it should match this amount. I can add other currencies and put it in US dollars here if I want to, but we're going to keep it easy. Now, if you're ever doing anything, you know, like I used to work for JP Morgan and Berenberg and things, and we would obviously work for clients and then we would bill them for certain things that we did, like roadshows and so on. So let's say, for example, I needed to bill this or part of this to somebody else. I can click on it there and say, yeah, all of this is payable to, let's find the office management group, or payable by, sorry, the office management group. Vanished on me, where did you go? It was in there, I saw it. Yeah, so I can click the customer in there and then it will show under that section that they owe expenses, billable expenses to us. For whatever reason, it's not coming. Cancel that. And I can assign it to them. And then it will have a little blue line here saying expense line assigned to the office management group. So again, I'm going to approve that. You might not have access, depending on what access you've been given to this system by your company, to approve bills. It might be that you can only save them and they then get submitted to somebody else to approve. But you can see that's the attachment there that we loaded from Mailgun. I can print it here if I want to and get a screenshot of this summary. I can void it from here. I can't delete it now it's in there. I can only void it. I can repeat it, and I can do the same with invoices. So if that's a monthly bill that comes in, I can be quite clever and set that up. I can add a credit note. So let's say, for example, they shouldn't have billed me. It was an error. I can add a credit note and it will pull one off of the other and do all sorts of things, copy and so forth. If I want to, I can manually tell the system that it's paid here, but we're going to do something a bit different. That's how you add bills. Okay. Any questions on that? Hopefully that's all making sense as well. And we are keeping up because I know it's a bit jumpy. Yeah, we'll do an expense claim first, and then we'll start looking at reconciling. So expense claims work in a similar way to both invoices and bills. I can basically add, and this is what's great from your phone if you're ever doing it for your own business or working for your business. Using your phone and doing expense claims is a lot easier, like adding receipts. But I can say, right, okay, well, I bought some monitor stands for £25. Spent at, and again, this will lead to my contacts. So we'll put posture right in here. Spent on account. So I'm going to say IT equipment and consumables. No, they don't have it. Office equipment. Excuse me. Region. Again, I'm not quite sure on this one. Again, if I wanted to assign the expense to a customer, I could do, or a client. And then I can upload an image here. So I could drag something. I could send myself an email with all the receipts taken a picture of, or the files, or I can upload them from my computer system here. But, excuse me, I'm so sorry. Then I can submit, approve, save, etc. here. So if I submit it, I've obviously got access here to submit and approve, but this is my own expense as it says there. So as I say, you might give access to people just to be able to raise expense claims themselves, and they'll have that screen. And then if you're the one that goes in and approves, you'll come into a separate screen to approve them. So your review screen would be here. You can click approve, and off it goes into the to pay screen, and then you would know who to pay and what amount to. So you can click pay, and then it goes in, see, like a bill. So it's quite clever in that way that it sits as a bill because it's in a similar way money owed, and then I can put what I paid and when. Hopefully that makes sense to everybody. And again, when it's sitting in here as one to pay or one to review, it will tell me. I believe you can set up notifications if you're an approver, so you know that there's expenses to approve in there as well. What I do for my Mayfair business, my Mayfair job, is we put everything through as bills at the moment, because it got a bit complex some time ago with expenses, and they've recently changed the expenses, so we'll probably start using that again. But we just raise bills for any expense claims. So if it's a bill from me as an employee because I'm doing expenses, I don't know, I've got expenses where I took some taxis to a meeting, I would put them in here. I'd set the date maybe of 30 days for one of the partners to pay it from the bank, and I'd approve it and then just print this summary out for them to pay it. So there's a couple of ways you can do it, but ultimately they'll all end up as bills to pay in the way that we saw. Okay, so hopefully that is making sense to everybody. What we're going to look at now is reconciling. So this is where we want our payments and our bank feed and our bank amounts to match. Often you'll see this where you've got a balance in Xero and a statement balance. So this is your cash that's in the bank as of whatever date it says, the 4th of November. And then this is your balance in Xero. And it might be because there's something that's unreconciled in here, where we've had a payment of £7,000 from a client or £6,500 from a client, and we haven't reconciled it yet. So Xero doesn't know that's what that payment is. So it can't accept and build in that extra £6,500 into its balance until we've reconciled it. So we'll go in and hopefully some of that will change. Before I do that, sorry, normally on your accounts you'll have something here which talks about setting up bank feeds. So at the moment this has already got a bank feed set up, so it's not giving us that option, but you can go into the bank from up here somewhere, I forget where it is, here, and change that bank feed. So you can disconnect, I don't think it's going to let us do it in this demo company, but you can disconnect the bank feed if you want to and reconnect it to a different one or whatever else you might want to do. So if you don't have the feeds live, it will probably come up with a button when you're on your dashboard saying bank feeds or live bank feeds are available for this account, and then you can set it up. You'll probably need your bank fob or your little calculator to set it up, and your password and everything, and it will take you to your actual bank, HSBC, Lloyds, NatWest, whoever your company banks with, to set it up, get the passwords in, and then it will set up a live feed. Okay, we're going to reconcile now. So any bills or invoices that we've got, and like I said, this is one that we've received, this is money in, so this is why that balance was out. So hopefully you can see that that makes sense now. So any bills we've paid or we've received money for in terms of invoices, it will turn green because it knows that that is in the system already. So this is a bill outstanding, the amounts match, so the system goes by the amount first, and then it might look at other details like dates and reference numbers and names and things, but generally it just looks at the amount and says, I've got a match. If you're like, that's not correct, which sometimes if you have a lot of bills for the same amount, or you've got invoices for the same amount to different clients, you would just need to change it and create it or go to a match. Or it might, if there's a couple of options, it will probably say one or two other possible matches, and you can click on the little loop there and then select the correct one and reconcile from there. If it's not correct, you can match it, so you can say, yeah, it's so and so to this account and it's this, and that will go through as a spend money. And if you click add more details, it brings up a similar screen to what we see when we're doing bills or invoices. I can add an attachment, put the account codes in, assign it to a customer, save and reconcile. But it is a match, so I'm going to click OK there, and off it vanishes into the abyss, knowing that those two match up. Likewise with this one, it's a received money, so that's obviously an invoice that we set up and they've paid. And then you've got these discussion options here. So if there's a few of you, or you've got an accountant, this is an old invoice, I wasn't sure where to code it. So you can see this person's like, I don't know where it's coded. We can say, okay, well, it should be under sales. So we can say, right, hopefully they've got it in here. If not, they haven't got anything for £100. But what I can do is search by the amount and see if there's anything for £100. So there's nothing. So I might just need to create this one from scratch and say, right, okay, let's create one, city limo. And what is it? It's a received. So it's for sales. I don't know, limo hire, refund or whatever. And then I can again add my attachments, save transaction and reconcile from there. If it's ever out, it will go red and it will tell you what it's out by. So sometimes my partners in the firm I work for have done it where they've paid like a penny too much. You know, typos do happen when you're paying lots of invoices. So it will show that. And then I can either make a manual adjustment here. It might be a bank fee adjustment or a minor adjustment and say, you know, minus 0.01. And then it should match up. If not, then what I might need to do is create another line, which is the adjustment, and say overpayment, waiting on credit, or whatever it might be. And then I would click to match both of those. So it'll come up with a couple of options here. So I can click more than one transaction line to match my bank line. You can't click more than one bank line to match transaction. So hopefully that makes sense. Your bank is fixed. That is actual money going in and out of your bank account, but you can mess around a little bit with your transactions coming in and out because you're manually creating them to reconcile to the bank. That makes sense, everybody? Yeah. Everybody's saying yes, so hopefully that works. Okay. So we would go through and we would reconcile all of these to spends or receivables, and then it would basically say that we've got nothing left to reconcile. What's really cool is from here, I've never used cash coding before, so I'm not going to talk about that, but I can look at my bank statements only. So this is all the lines from the bank fed directly in, and it tells me whether it's a debit, a credit, or other type of spend. And then you can see what's unreconciled. So these are probably those sitting in the queue of the 28 odd items which we haven't yet reconciled to transactions. And any that have been reconciled, you can see they become links because they would link to, for example, this transaction here. I can click the link and that's the original invoice that we put in. So everything's kind of connected, which is really cool. So where were we? Account transactions, bank statement. So yeah, so we'll go through and, you know, pick out any of these. We can do a search as well, so you can make it a specific search. So if you're like, I'm sure we paid that, but I just can't see it, whatever, you can search for names, or you can search for a minimum amount, a maximum amount, or the exact amount. I don't know if there is an exact amount in here of this number, but we'll say minimum, maximum. And it will bring up anything within that field. So that's really cool to find things you might need, and it happens quite a lot in businesses where you've got a number of transactions. And then these are our account transactions. So these are the ones that we have put in manually. They're not fixed by the bank, and these are unreconciled. So it might be that we haven't paid or received these yet, and so on and so forth. And you can again see all of these other transactions have. So when you have got a lot of unreconciled transactions in here, you might just want to look at what's going on. Do we owe these bills? Are they duplicates that have been paid? Because what can happen, particularly if, say, for example, there's more than one of you working on Xero, they might just reconcile it as a creation rather than a match, because the match may not have come up, or they might just create it, put it down as spend money, and then before you know it, you've got duplicates occurring, where your bills are sitting there showing as unpaid, but actually you have paid them and you've already reconciled. You want to just do audits sometimes to show where you're up to here. Right? And again, like I say, you can just search in there as well, specifics. Right, let's have a look at creating bank rules and reconciling. Okay, good. Yeah, someone's just said this is good and it's all making sense. Thank you very much. That's good. Okay. So, what we're going to do, contacts. So we've already looked at contacts a little bit, but couple more things to say on here. So yeah, you can edit them, you can update their name, you can edit their address and things like that if you wanted to do that. Put in all these other things, give them credit limits, discounts, currency, invoice themes. You can fix a particular theme from your templates for them, and so on and so forth. So there's all sorts you can do with them. Whenever you type their postal address in, it should come up automatically. So if it's a registered address, it should find, we've just moved into a new house, it never finds our postcode, unsurprisingly. But yeah, you can find it by postcode, it'll automatically find it, and then you can pop it in there and then do same as postal address if it is, or put a different address for their registered address, and they will come up on their invoice. You can add their name and email address in here, and then, as I said, you can keep adding another person and tick to include them in the emails, like your invoice emails. So if you've got, I don't know, the CEO as your contact, and then the accounts department is where you need to send the invoices to as well, you can put that in there. So I'm just going to go back, and we already saw the new option here. So we can, some of my clients are on retainers monthly or annually, so I do repeating invoices for them, and the system then just sends it out at whatever time, almost like recurring diary invites and things. I can do it with this system here for bills, and then I can merge them or archive them. So if I never use that contact again because I've fallen out of bed with them, I can archive them and they won't appear. Merge basically is quite useful because a lot of times, what's a good example? Okay, so we've got Bank of America Merrill Lynch that we pay invoices to in this business that I work for. And what happens is sometimes people put it in as BAML, which they're known for, BAML, and sometimes people put it in as the full legal entity, which is Bank of America Merrill Lynch Limited, I think. They also had group for a while, but they merged. So what we did, because essentially it's the same contact, is we merged them, and it's now Bank of America Merrill Lynch, the proper entity name that it should be. And I can just search here for, I don't know, let's find the office management. This, and say, right, that's now going to go into the office management group. So 24 lots will be archived as a name, but all of the historical transactions will sit under the office management group. So I can merge that and it will flow into there. So that's a really useful one if you're ever finding that you've got the same name, the same company, but lots of different naming conventions in there. I think that's probably the most useful bit there. We're running a little bit short on time, so I'm going to briefly show you about creating rules. So under bank accounts and the accounting function, there's a video here about bank rules as well. Xero, I have to say, I was self-taught on it and I just went into their help. So I've left a page up here about bank rules as well. But it's got so much useful resources. You can click on the help here. It takes you to this orange section, so you know you're not in the live system, you're in their website area. And they've got so many videos and learning modules and things, so each sort of section that you want to learn on, you can go in and see that, and it really is quite useful. So I can set up a bank rule under here, and what this means is essentially, let's say, so we've got it set up for Microsoft Office and my insurance policies and things. So I pay my insurance every month for my public liability insurance, my contents insurance, and my professional indemnity insurance. So it comes out each month. I can create a new rule here, which is a spend money rule, because I'm paying them, and I can say who it's to and how much it will be for and what I want it reconciled as. And basically each month it will just, when it comes to reconciling, it will just match it automatically and deal with it, and I won't have to worry about it at all. So I can give each rule a title, and I can say, right, okay, when spend on the bank statement matches any or all of the following conditions. It's a bit like setting up, rules on Outlook and things like that you may have done in the past. So when the amount is £17.18 and the description, let's say, for example, because it might always be insurance that they put on the thing as a description, I'd probably only set it up after I've seen a transaction come through, so I know exactly what it looks like. And there might be a reference as well, 1, 2, 3, 4, or whatever it might be. I didn't have the 4. And then the contact is an existing or new contact. So I would find, let's do the office management group again. Should find us. And then automatically allocate fixed value line items. So we can add that as well to say what we want it to go to. So we want the whole amount to go to, so we can say PI and PL insurance, monthly payment. It should be hopefully an insurance field. Insurance is exempt VAT because it's not VATable. Region I ignore again. And the amount I should ignore as well because it should just be 100%. Yeah, do the same here if I want to. So on and so forth. Set the rule. I can set it to a reference. I just leave it as the reference that they've got. Run it on all bank accounts. So if I have a load of transactions sitting there to reconcile, and any of them are this particular transaction, it will run it live on those historical ones and not just any going forward. So I can say the OMG insurance, whatever I want to do. Save, and then each time, oh, I need to do this as well. Each time it will run it, it will basically put it against that, and I won't have to do anything. So that makes sense, hopefully. I want 100% to go. And there it is. And then if I don't want that rule anymore, I can delete it. And the same for receive money rules. So I have one set up for my clients, or one for each of my clients that pay monthly retainers for health and safety support or annual retainers. Transfer is when, let's say, for example, Black and White Office Consultancy owns the office management group as an entity, which it used to. And I move money between the two accounts because I can do that as one holds the other as the sort of operating company and the owner company. And Black and White receives money, but I want to spend money via the office management group. I can move money between the two and use transfer here to do it because I would have possibly both my bank accounts sitting here under the one Xero account, or I might have them under separate accounts, and I can just say I've transferred money to Black and White or the OMG. Okay, last thing I'm going to show you, sorry, we're running out of time probably to do the app, so I might cover that next time. But the last thing I'm going to show you is about importing statements. So we've set up the live feeds, which is where we have that reconcile. If I want to import a statement, there's a couple of areas I can do it. So you saw the click there where it's suggesting that we import a statement because we haven't got the live feed set up. Or I can import a statement from here. So let's say, for example, the bank feeds are broken or I want to check something, I can import a statement from there and or from up this page as well. And coming into each of the bank accounts here. Okay. So you need to use a specific file type. So I would recommend downloading their template first and seeing what that looks like. It's quite basic. And it needs to stay as a CSV file to be imported. So I might just do, I don't know, a quick couple of lines in here. HG, let's do £15. And OMG, ref 123, and then let's do one from the 4th of November. Let's pay Zoe, who's on the line. She is working with us now in the office management group. And let's say OMP 124. So I'm going to quickly save that to my desktop. Keep it as a CSV file. It's going to give me those, and then I can browse and select that file and import it. And then it will say, okay, the last transaction you had in this account was the 13th of September 2008, or whatever it might be. What's what here? So is this the transaction date? Yes, it is. Is this the amount? I've put it in the wrong order, look. It should be amount payee, so that's the wrong way around for a start. Let me just quickly fix that. Now my head's not in the right place today with this allergy, so let's just Move those over. There we go. Browse, try again. Import. And then yeah, transaction date, transaction amount, payee, description, and then this is the reference. Okay, and then date format, we're in the UK, so we want day, month, year. Save, and then in it will go. 2 statement lines are imported. It picked no duplicates up. So now we can see in this savings account, we've got a couple of transactions and we've got some blue lines because we've started to get money into the account. So I can go in and then I can, in the same way, reconcile those transactions. It might just be interest accruing on the account or something like that, that I can do there. Okay, I think we'll pause there because we've got 2 minutes left before we close. So are there any questions at all? Apps, as I say, sorry we didn't get a chance. I'll show that another time, or I can always jump on a call separately and show you there. But hopefully that is helpful as an introduction to Xero and what it can do and how you can manage it. Pleasure, you're welcome. Okay, super. Well, sorry about all the interruptions with my nose, but hopefully that still supported what you needed it to. And then, yeah, let me know, drop me an email if you want a more in-depth version of Xero training and insight in there, and we can go through that at a later date. Otherwise, have a good day, everybody, and I will see you all very soon. Take care.